okay, all of my videos are basically unrehearsed, which is a terrible thing. I just can't put it together to try and put my stuff together and like organize it. That's who I am. I like to freestyle. But anyway, I wanted to make a video because I've been watching a lot of this like, damn it, Kendrick Lamar, damn you, man. Ever since he used that fucking line that, you know, that fuck the big three, nigga, it's just big me. Ah, fuck. That line was so good. It started, anime fanboys started out here making edits and challenges. Oh my god. He's out here. It's like the waves had settled. And then Kendrick just went splash. And now it's all over the place. And there was another thing that was going on as well. And people discussing what are the best fights in anime. And I started thinking about it, right? And I was just thinking to myself, first of all, I'm actually not that big an anime fan. I'm actually a manga fan. I prefer to read my shit, you know what I mean, instead of just, you know, watching it, instead of reading the subtitles. And I'm just like, I was like doing the math in my head, and I was like, what actually makes the best fight scene? Because Jujutsu is beautiful. Even some of Chainsaw Man is kind of beautiful. But I started thinking about what makes a good fight. Because think about it, what do a lot of Western fights have in common with a lot of Eastern fights? Is that the winner is sometimes the guy that just hits harder. Like he was hitting this hard before, but then he thought of something and he started believing in himself some more. He believed more and he hit harder. And that's what happened. Or, alternatively, it's the power of friendship. Yay! Fuck you. What if it isn't the power of friendship for once? And then of course, I think that's, so I thought about that, okay, a lot of anime does that. So if you consider that, right, and you consider the power of novelty, that being something being new to you, being a natural experience that kind of hits you hard, then what would make one of the best fights? Well, think about it. In terms of novelty, like in terms of value, of narrative value, I think that's what matters, narrative value. I would argue that crosses out a lot of Dragon Ball Z fights. Because a Dragon Ball Z fight, a lot of the time, don't get me wrong, the Frieza fight, there's a lot of intelligent decisions being made there. But generally it all adds up to hit them harder a lot of the times. And I know I'm being unfair when I say that. And I would argue it cancels out a lot of fights. I'm talking Naruto, Bleach, Jujutsu Kaisen. A lot of stuff get cancelled out here. And I know I'm being very harsh. So I thought about it, right? And I was like, okay, what would I consider the best fight in my mind as a writer, right? Like in terms of storytelling with. And I was like, okay, well, we'll make it the best with the plot changes. Like the story structures we understand, it kind of takes a shift. And the one that hit me the hardest here was actually a non-fight. The best fight is a non-fight because it ends in one punch, basically. It starts and ends in one punch. And here's the best part. That one punch doesn't even connect. And that is the Naruto Sasuke fight on the hospital. That fight is fucking incredible. And it only has one punch. Naruto does the Chidori. Sorry, no. Sasuke does the Chidori. Naruto does the Rasengan. Cool. But here's the thing. It doesn't connect. And that fight changes the entire storyline. Now, a lot of the times in a storyline, someone has to die for that kind of effect. Oh no, so-and-so died. Now, okay, and then we move on. Now, there are a lot of times where I was just watching Chainsaw Man. We saw a lot of where they fight some of the gun minions, and the gun minions changed the effect of the storyline. I wouldn't argue that was a fight so much as an event that kind of changes things, but you'll notice certain key characters to the plot don't die, and that kind of it kind of ruins it for me, at least. So, and I think the reason for that is because there's not that element of, oh no, what do we do now? And Naruto has that element of, what do we do now? It's an element that almost Game of Thrones had as well, where like Robb Stark dies and you're like, oh, what do we do now? Do you know what I mean? And you need stuff like that. I think Daredevil did something very well like that as well. Jessica Jones did something really good in that as well. And I've read a lot of manga, and I can't even think of any proper examples where you are left with, what do we do now because so and so happened. No, normally what will happen is later on That character X, where I would have left you with what do we do now, will always end up coming back or something like that. This one, it's an emotional what do we do now that ends up leading to an end result. Let me explain. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, or rather for those who have watched this but still don't know what I'm talking about. For everyone else, spoiler alert. Okay, now what's happened throughout the course of the storyline, right? Because this is almost like the second or third or fourth arc into the storyline. Naruto has been having a lot of W's. Like he's fought against a lot of people. He lost the Chunin exams. He didn't get that, but he ended up beating Gaara in a one-on-one fight where he ended up beating I forgot the lady's name, but Zabuza, the Zabuza and the boy, and yeah, and Sasuke. Meanwhile, the guy on a revenge mission, he's on a revenge mission to try and kill people. He's been taking L after L after L after L, and this starts to impact him, especially when his brother shows up. The man that he wants to kill his brother. He shows up and then says, "This is as good as you've gotten. You fucking suck." And someone else has showed up and said, "Wow, you fucking suck. The other guy, Naruto, has done some good stuff. You've done jack, despite being a better fighter than him." He gets presented with new powers. He gets his ass kicked. He gets offered an opportunity to hang out with Orochimaru, basically like a demon, basically like the devil almost. You want to say that? I'm talking in terms of thematically. That devil on your shoulder that's pulling you away to a bad end. Basically, so then Sasuke decides, but Sasuke has not decided, because remember, Sasuke's already given up his life at one point. He didn't die, but he nearly sacrificed himself for Naruto in the first arc against Zabuza. But he doesn't die, and he's willing to sacrifice himself, right? Because he's headed on an almost better path, where he's basically one could almost argue on more than one occasion, he's given up his revenge for the sake of his friends, right? But with all these hard L's he's been eating, right? And with his brother showing up, that he's showing that he's still alive and is still waiting for this man to kill him, it starts to become too much for Sasuke. It becomes too much for him. He can't handle it. Naruto, on the other hand, he's a paragon. He's a paragon archetype. So he's just out here living his best life. He didn't actually he had a terrible life, but with his positivity, with his strength of righteousness, he's trying to push through. And when he tries to push through, what ends up happening is that makes things worse for Sasuke. But now this doesn't come to a head yet. When they go to the hospital, Sasuke is at his lowest point, and then he challenges Naruto to a fight. Naruto's like, "Aight, you give me your best, I'll give you my best." Now, the most powerful moves that have been seen so far, Rasengan is on one of the highest levels. The Chidori is on one of the highest levels. These are killing moves. These things will wipe out people on the highest level. They're basically, in a wrestling thing, it would be like an unblockable finisher. Do you know what I mean? Like a finisher that's never been stopped yet. And that's basically what they are. And they use them against each other. These two friends use these finishing moves against each other. Kakashi, their teacher, their mentor, has to come in, separates them, shoves them into a wall. The one guy hits a water pipe, the other one hits I think he just hits a wall. Sasuke punches a hole through the wall and is like, "Oof, I could have killed you, motherfucker." And then Naruto, then he looks at a water tank and he sees a small hole from Naruto, only to see on the other hand that there's a massive hole. Now this has an effect on all the characters. On Sakura, she realizes things have gone too far. Naruto is like, "I've got to try harder," because he's an idiot, he's a paragon, he only knows the power of his righteousness, which is brilliant writing. Kakashi, their mentor, sees the bigger picture and realizes that in letting this rivalry flow between the two of them, he may have made a mistake. Things have gone too far. It hits 3 different characters in 3 different ways and changes the storyline completely. And that's why it's one of the best fights in anime, if not in writing in general. That's my opinion, and I fucking stand